The developers posted this note, taking action in response to inappropriate conduct. Many members have asked me to go through this notice from the developers because they're concerned about what they're doing. Let me just start by saying, well, first of all, I'm not a lawyer. Many of these terms of use depend on interpretation. And if you're really that concerned, get a lawyer to read it for you and then decide for yourself what they mean. However, I will give you my interpretation, and it doesn't hold for everyone. It may not apply to how my mods interpret it. It may not apply to how other servers or other Discords, other YouTubers interpret it either. First, they say that thank you for playing Pokemon TCG card game. That's always a good way to start any notice like this. You must thank the people first, because it will somewhat neutralize the tone of the rest of the message. We are aware that some players have engaged in data tampering, real money trading, and other behaviors that violate the terms of use. They're very specific about two things here, and then very vague about others. Two things that are very, very clear. One is data tampering. Now that has to do with things like modifying your game, hacking the game, or maybe hacking into the servers. I'm not sure how much of this is done, but that's always been a no-go. That's always been illegal or just against TOS. Companies and individuals have been sued for it. You don't do that. Secondly is real money trading. Now, we don't do that on our server. In fact, we ban people who link to servers or host their own packs involving real money trading. Now, this can involve you buying a starting account because somebody rolled a 5 Crown Rare God pack and you bought that account to start your account, so that's real money trading. It may involve, and it probably does involve, you paying to get into a God pack service. And then where it's a bit vague is behaviors that otherwise still violate the terms of use. But let me just say that none of this is new. It's not a new issue. 1 month ago, I already told people to read the terms of use, and I already linked everyone to it in the Pocket Info channel. You may not have seen it, but it doesn't matter. You agreed to the terms of use when you joined the game. So if you didn't read it, just know that this is not a new issue. This is not a new term in the use of this service, in the use of this game. We will come to the terms of use in a moment, and we'll talk about specific cases and specific scenarios. But let's finish the rest of this notice. If we confirm that a player has engaged in behavior that violate the terms of use, we will warn them, suspend them, or take other action. Again, they're vague. And it's okay to be vague because that means they can just do whatever they want. Alright, let's take a look at the terms of use. That was always there. This whole thing was always there. I know people have been sharing this image around a lot today and yesterday, but this is not new. And yes, I've actually read it all. Number 1 is don't share accounts, and that just makes sense. You don't want to share your password because that opens up to all sorts of hacks on your account and so on. And this one's actually a little tricky. Don't let others use your support ID. Now, support ID is often used to maybe recover accounts or fix issues in your account. But the problem is with the game, the support ID is shown everywhere. They're shown at the title screen, in your menu. If you somehow just screenshot of video that support ID, you are apparently already breaking the terms of use. Acquisition or buying or selling virtual contents. What are virtual content? Well, if you go to the definitions, it's things like PokeGold or other items in the game. Basically, don't do illegal things that can give you things like PokeGold, or buy or sell virtual items like PokeGold. So for example, there are some services out there that allow you to buy PokeGold for cheaper. Don't use those services. Don't violate intellectual property rights. Now, that's just in the law. You don't violate intellectual property, including creating derivative works. Now, this is, again, it's a tricky one because memes and all sorts of contents, YouTube, those are all derivative works of this game. Does that mean everyone who makes any fan art is going to be banned for it? Well, you could argue it, but it's not going to happen. It's not like they're going to ban people who make fan art. They just have it here in case things don't go right, and they can use this point to punish the people who are doing the wrong things. Now, this here is the important part. Using unauthorized third-party software or other technological means like bots, mods, hacks, and scripts to modify the application of the service. One question that rises a lot is whether emulators violate this rule. Now, first of all, they can say whatever they want, because if you go all the way to the bottom, any and all actions we judge to be unsuitable can be punishable. So they can say whatever they want at the end of the day. But in my personal opinion, emulators on their own, without any mods or hacks, are not violating this rule, because you're not modifying the application for the service. The problem with emulators is that now that you're using it, there's a lot more things that you can do that break the terms of use. For example, using hacks that change the actual software, the actual APK of the game. Just to clarify, when we say bots sometimes on our Discord, we don't mean bots on the game, we mean a Discord bot completely separate to this. So don't confuse us saying bots for the game and bots for our server. Another question that rises quite often is whether using macros or auto clickers are going to violate this terms of use. Again, they can say whatever they want. They can say yes that it does, or they can say that it doesn't. To me, in my personal opinion, you're not modifying the game itself, but you should interpret this in your own way. If you feel like that it does break this terms of use, then don't do it. But in my opinion, the actual use of an auto clicker doesn't violate the terms of use, because you're not modifying the service itself. What you are modifying is the way you tap the game. Now, in fact, some people say that use of macro is against the terms of use, but you realize that you can actually just buy physical auto clickers to tap certain parts of your screen, and they do pretty much the same thing. So is using a physical auto clicker against the terms of use? Well, now the question becomes, well, which one is actually detectable, rather than whether it breaks the terms of use. If it's detectable, you might get caught. And if it's not detectable, you might not get caught. That's the difference between physical and software auto clickers or macros. Actions that may cause a malfunction, bug, or other defect within the servers that operate the service. So basically, don't DDoS the server, don't do things like hacking into the server. Excessively and unnecessarily installing the application for the service on numerous devices. This is again a little bit vague. It could mean don't use multiple devices to play the game, or it could mean don't re-roll your accounts in any excessive amounts. But what's excessive? Well, that's up to interpretation. It could be like 10 times, or it could be 1,000,000 times. Many gacha games they are prepared for people to be re-rolling accounts to start the game. So is that against the terms of use? Well, it can be. So it's up to your interpretation what this means. Don't develop tools that hack the game. Don't share other platforms or other servers that actually break the terms of use. Don't break geological restrictions, so some countries aren't allowed to install this game, so don't do that. And I think that's pretty much the terms of use in a nutshell. So while there are some gray areas and they can punish anyone anytime they want, in our server, I don't believe that we've broken any terms of use. What they do in other servers, what people do outside of our servers, that's not something we can control. But if you try to share services that break the terms of use, even our server may ban you for it. So just be careful about what you do. Okay, so now in order to answer some more specific questions, is wonder picking god packs against the terms of use? Well, first of all, organically seeing it in your public wonder pick list and then picking from that, well, that's just the game's feature. So no, just doing that isn't breaking the terms of use. What about adding friends who have recently pulled a god pack to see if their pack is shareable on the wonder pick and then try to pick it if it is? Well, again, that's just a feature of the game. You're supposed to be able to add friends and then get their stuff. Yes, the game has very cleverly made it so that these kinds of packs have only a 10% chance on showing on wonder pick, so that your odds of actually seeing these packs are quite low. But even before any god pack wonder pick methods were described, people were already adding each other to do this. They just didn't understand there's a 90% chance that you can't share something like this. So it was a natural progression to know that, well, once a pack is verified to be able to share to other accounts via wonder pick, it just seems very natural that everybody will want to add that person. And again, to me, that is part of the game. And also, we always knew that only 4 friends can show up on wonder pick at a time. So again, a natural progression assumption to be made is that, well, you shouldn't have more than 4 friends at a time. So the method to wonder pick of friends by having less than 4 friends on your account is something that players were always going to figure out. So to me, again, that's just part of the game. The tricky part, the gray area, is if you're picking of a host who is breaking the terms of use, are you breaking the terms of use? Now that's something you have to decide for yourself, but just know that hosts who break the terms of use still appear on random people public wonder picks. So whether you pick from them via public or via friends doesn't make a difference. And if they do ban people for doing wonder pick methods, adding multiple hosts to get a lot of these wonder picks, well, now they have to decide how much is too much. Is God Pack wonder picking once a day too much? Is it once a week, once a month? And then do they have to decide that cutoff above which they punish the players and below which they don't? Now, in my personal experience, Pokemon games don't punish people for a gray zone like this. But what they do is punish people who modify the game, modify the APK, and so on. Is paying for priority entry into a God Pack wonder pick against the terms of use. I think that's pretty clear. Buying or selling virtual content or data, or so-called real money trading, or even assisting in such behaviors, well, that is against the terms of use. What is funny though is this here doesn't specify real money trading outside of this service. So for example, if you're buying Pokegold from the developers, technically that's against the terms of use. But of course, they're not going to punish themselves. This is to cover all the other bases that doesn't involve the company itself making money. Thank you for watching, guys. If I missed anything or if I interpreted things a bit differently to how you would, let me know in the comments section below. Hopefully I've clarified these points with you a bit more. And again, at the end of the day, you have to interpret these yourself. And I'm not a lawyer. These are just my opinion on how it should be interpreted. Don't forget to leave a like and subscribe.